Another Colorado Springs. It seemed like Colorado Springs got on board with the program. I think back when we first started talking about fertigation, they had been kind of an early adopter out there because they had some of the same challenges and water restrictions, if I remember, drought or something of that sort.
Right.
So again, we got Memorial Park. This is a big, like what, county park or something of that sort?
It's a city park, the city of Colorado Springs. A lot of people don't realize that because they're on the eastern side of the Rocky Mountains, it's a semi-arid climate.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to treat the plant material accordingly. The picture on the left is what it looked like after the 4th of July celebration they have each year there. And the white stuff you see on the grass is not snow, it's salt. It's actually later in the year, it's in the fall,
Okay.
because this is after the first frost, and it never recovered from the damage in July, which is what the bare areas are.
Do you remember what year this was taken?
This was in 2002.
Okay.
And now that frost is taking care of the cool season grass, this is a tall fescue blend. And the subsequent summer irrigations have left behind these salt deposits. Obviously, it's problematic. And when this came back in the spring, those white areas were just bare. Dead. No turf anymore. Remember, this is long-term damage from their 4th of July celebration.
Right.
And the mayor of the city of Colorado Springs was interested in some kind of a preventive measure because they spent each year many thousands of dollars trying to repair this damage. And so they were interested in a proactive way to help maybe prevent this damage from the first place. So beginning in the spring of the following year, they installed a fertigation system on Memorial Park as a trial. Okay, to see if it worked. If it worked, then they were thinking of doing it with their other parks, which had similar problems. And so the picture on the right is on July the 4th of the following year. And the idea is that tens of thousands of people come and go through there during that celebration, and the field looked as good after everybody left as before they actually started.
Yeah.
And it still looks that way today.
That's excellent. So this is one of the things that we run into a lot, which I really have to say that we haven't thought a lot about, is how common it is for trees to die in commercial landscape environments. And we put them in a difficult environment because we put them in a lot of these planters or turf islands or embedded in a sidewalk where they're surrounded by concrete, and they really struggle. And it's pretty common practice almost every year on properties to replace several trees. So you guys use this to actually rescue some trees in a college campus. So tell us some about that.
Right, Cuyamaca College in El Cajon is where I taught at this school for 6 years, and this is a portion of the campus. So I got to use a lot of these places as guinea pigs. And my students in their laboratories were tasked with trying different methodologies, and it was indicative of the kind of success that a lot of folks had. And can you, in fact, take a situation like in the picture on the left where you have a specimen tree that is completely surrounded by yards and yards and yards of concrete? The only water delivered to each one of these trees is by a bubbler that is located inside the tree well. And the concrete, in most cases, is at least 12 inches thick. So the surface for water and nutrition is limited to about a 16 square foot area around that tree if it's 4 feet square. And the kids hang out between classes. It's kind of like the quad for that part of the school. And it was a sad commentary to see many of these trees, and it was a regular thing because there was a horticulture department at our school. And it was not uncommon for that class to go every year and replace these dead trees. Okay, that was one of their projects. So they were kind of like free labor. They joked about it, but that's what they were there to do. They grew the trees and then they replaced the dead ones. So I said, well, here's a little task for you. Let's develop a program and run a trial and see what works and what doesn't. And what worked on this particular section is indicative of the tree on the right is, I don't remember which, it was probably the tree right in the middle, but it's a testimony to what good nutrition and soil conditioning will do. You have to have some ability to retain soil moisture because remember, El Cajon is in Southern California. It's a suburb of San Diego, and it also is subject to water restrictions. So just because you're part of a state university system does not mean you get special dispensation and you get more water because you ask for it. So everything had to be done also within the confines of the water restrictions that exist still to this day. They're much worse now than they were in 2002.
All right. I think this is our last before and after picture. This one's down in Texas. I think it's one of the more dramatic examples, except I should have put the before one on the left and I got them out of order. So the before one on this case is on the right and the after one is on the left. But just tell us a little bit about this.
This is a city park in the Woodlands, Texas. For the longest time, the city parks administrator thought that it just needed more fertilizer. So that's what they did. They watered it more and they fertilized it. And then he got kind of concerned when, and I think anybody should be concerned when you apply a fertilizer at 6 or 8 pounds per 1,000 square feet and get absolutely no response, you got another issue going on.
Right.
So the full battery of soil tests, plant leaf tissue analysis, and water quality analysis were done, and it was pretty plain when the soil, water, and tissue came back and confirmed that this was a serious excessive sodium problem. Most irrigation waters are very high in sodium, and if you do not have a good draining soil, that tends to accumulate in the soil and in the plant tissue. And that's what happened here. The city installed a fertigation system to deliver high calcium electrolyte to displace sodium from the soil. And this picture from the one on the right to the one on the left, which is how it looks today, was 6 weeks. So it's a...
Was there overseeding done?
No.
That's just all...
This is a warm season. This is Bermuda grass, and it came back from its existing rootstock. And wherever I see warm season grasses, they tend to respond extremely well to sodium reduction programs.
Is that just because they're able to propagate and grow, or...
They tend to be a little more tolerant of high salts than
so
cool
they
season
respond
grasses,
more quickly.
and they respond more quickly because
Gotcha.
of it.
Okay. All right. Well, great. That's, I think, it for our before and after pictures.